Jess!
Woo!
Woo!
Hey.
So,
Hello.
you haven't been too well since
Hello.
last week. Tell me a little bit and then I'll tell you about my week. Because obviously you've been recovering, looking after yourself. What happened?
So basically, I got the booster 3 shot, and
Yeah.
instead of it helping, it's probably help in the future. But for right now, I feel like shit. Well, I got the booster, got a fever, all of that. I've been through this before with the first one, whatever. Yeah. After I came out with you and John.
Yeah.
Fever, everything. And then I saw my parents cutting the lawn and they were struggling because they're getting older. So I quickly went out there. Like I cut the lawn every once in a while. And then I thought what had happened was because my immune system was low, and I'm allergic to dry grass, that I got an allergic reaction, and it was just with the fever and everything. And then
So
as
it's
time,
just an added
now
like
I don't think.
flare up in your immune system, no?
Now I don't think. So as time went by, so that would be, so Saturday, I was all right, Saturday. And then all of a sudden, Sunday, I was like, Mum just kept looking at me like, and because you can hear my breathing. And I was just like, like I couldn't breathe. And then when I was sleeping, apparently Mum was watching me and Dad was watching me. And I didn't even know they were in the room. And I was just like, the way I was breathing wasn't right. And I could feel like my esophagus, like the tube, like contracting. I was just like, well, that's not good. And then Monday I lost
Not
my
good at
voice.
all.
No, I
Oh,
need
wow.
to breathe. Then Monday I lost
Yeah.
my voice. I couldn't go to work. I'm like, this has wiped me. I couldn't even get out of bed. And I was
Yeah,
just like in
exhausted.
bed, exhausted, sleeping the entire day. And then Tuesday took the day off, went Wednesday into work, went as in just went to a separate room to turn on the PC. I didn't even go to the office. Couldn't do it, couldn't concentrate. I was just sweating nonstop. And morning seems to be the worst for me, where what's going on now and from day one, I can't sleep. I can't, now my voice is kind of like, it sounds manly, is what I think it sounds like. I'm running a temperature, but now it seems to be getting to the point where I'm getting a lot of phlegm in my chest. That's always the recovery last stages. But I have to make sure it doesn't become like bronchitis or pneumonia. So I'm just doing everything that I can. But again, today, like I was wiped. I was just like, just in bed, just sitting here. And there's only so much you can do. That was my week. But oh yes, what I think it is, and then what's interesting is that yesterday my dad got in touch with my aunt and explained that Jess isn't feeling well, and she asked what was happening. And then it turned out that my cousins on my dad's side, as soon as they got the booster 3, they were out like a light, like same symptoms as me, but they were out for 20 days.
Oh, wow.
Both of them. I'm like, oh my God, what is in our like genes or whatever. But I still think
Yeah.
like it was the grass as well, because I felt like irritable. You know, when you're like people out there that are allergic to shit, you know what I'm talking about. You just feel irritable. But yeah, I haven't done a thing. And customers are calling me like in my job. I'm like, sorry, I'm sick. And I'm like writing emails saying, sorry, I'm sick. Sorry, I'm sick. And then just logging off. And my boss was really worried. Everyone was worried. I'm like, I'm fine. And it wasn't COVID, took all the tests, did all of that. Negative, 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 negative Nancy is what I've been. But I was like, how do I get COVID? By getting the booster 3. And then they're like, maybe you contracted it before, you know, but still I haven't seen anything thus far. Now it's been a week since the booster and when I started feeling like shit. So when I left you guys and I was like, I need to go, I got home and I got really hot. And I'm like, oh shit. Wow. Yeah. That's about it, really.
Wow, you've had a very eventful time.
I've been a mess.
I will admit though, I've today very phlegmy, but I think that's just because I had some dairy last night. You know how sometimes when you have dairy, you get a bit all mucusy, like all in here. So I've been coughing a little bit, but I think that was just like from the cream I had last night. So I had some cream with the gnocchi. So I think that's what it's from. I've done COVID tests and they both come back negative. So I'm just like, I don't think it's COVID. Yeah, I thought for a second maybe it was because I've been sneezing a lot and they're saying like the new strand or whatnot, you can just have like hay fever, very mild hay fever kind of symptoms.
As soon as you start breathing, there's something wrong. Like that's what it's beginning to like.
And I was just like, oh, I don't know what this is. But yeah, both came back negative. So it's not COVID. Probably just my allergies, really. And then this week has gone by so quickly. I've just really been thinking about all different kind of stuff. On the weekend, obviously went out on the Friday, and then I just stayed at my parents, and then just kind of been in like a very manifestive, reflective kind of mode. This week at work has been really good, productive, and what else has been happening? There's a boy on the scene, which is pretty cool. Going on a date tomorrow morning for brunch, which should be cool.
Oh, sorry, James. Whoa. How did it happen? Were you like at the coffee store and you just were like, I want an extra pump of caramel, and the guy was like, I want an extra pump of caramel? It didn't happen.
No, it was just Hinge. Saw a guy on Hinge, and I liked what he had to say, so I sent him a big message, and then he sent a big message back, and then been messaging, and then we started phone calling, and then we've spent probably like 6 hours of talking on the phone to each other. And then we're going to obviously meet and have a face-to-face meeting, our first one, and go for some brunch, which should be cool. Pretty excited.
That's so nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, that was my week, really. Very busy. Went in between going home to my parents. So I went and saw my sister's new house, which was really cool. And
is she over the moon? She's been dying for that. She must be so happy.
Yeah, it was really cool. And Charlie's so happy because he's grinning. And he's like very running around, chasing the rabbits up there, just enjoying, I guess, nature, which is great for him. And it was just really cool, obviously seeing what, her plans and her grand vision come to fruition. And then obviously just having a nice family gathering on Monday. And then I had a nice little dinner at mum and dad's last night. And then we watched Behind Her Eyes, which I highly recommend to all our listeners. It's a, have you seen that one? It's a psychological thriller.
Is that Halle Berry or something?
No, it's a TV series set in the UK, psychological thriller. Very, very captivating, edge of the seat, tension, just really, very good. Like, obviously I love a psychological thriller where you're thinking what's going on, what's happening. It's apparently based on, I think, a book, and they said that the ending you won't see coming, and I don't even know what's going on. My mum was very good last night. She's like, did you miss that? She said this. I was like, oh. She's like, you can't follow. So it was pretty cool. Just getting my mum telling me off, being like, keep up to date, aren't you following? Yeah, so it was fun.
That's good.
So that was my week, which was cool. And work's been pretty cool too. So lots going on, lots of stuff happening. I read a book as well. Started to. It's the autobiography of Patti Smith.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. It's obviously about her and her growing up and her stories, as well as her relationship to her lover, who ends up coming out as gay, and then their friendship that they have, which is very interesting, and the exploration of obviously her artistry as well as his. Very very interesting. Written very, when you can tell someone's, I don't know, she's just got a very interesting way of writing the story in a very frank kind of way, but also a very, I don't know, just an authenticity in just being so direct about it.
It's kind of like
And she's,
that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's like that. They
yeah.
bang, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, so just about like obviously her and him struggling, and she wanted to go to New York, and what ends up happening is she steals the money, and she takes she finds a wallet basically, and the wallet has enough what she needs for the ticket, so she ends up getting on the bus. She hands obviously the wallet in, but takes the money, and then basically gets on the bus, heads into New York City, and is in Brooklyn and meets other street people, losing jobs, just really being a struggling kind of artist, her and her lover, and just kind of, they don't have much money, finding a place, obviously, they sleeping on people's couches, sleeping outside, just very interesting.
Wow.
It's like the struggle and all that kind of stuff, but obviously their passion to obviously live that lifestyle as well is like they want to make art. They don't want to have the regular jobs that people have. They want to be doing that. So they're just trying to make it work. So very interesting. That's been like everything really. There have been all the ideas and everything. And then like in terms of manifestation, I've just been doing some laws of assumption, as well as some visualization, as well as change your handwriting, change your life. So I've been changing my handwriting. And then, yeah, that's kind of everything that I've been.
Not everything, James.
Ideas as most of the stuff that I've been.
No. Tell us the main one. Now, has James stopped drinking? Like, how many weeks has it been?
Oh, well, so it's been 3 weeks, but tonight I did have one drink. So
that's
it's over.
Fine,
21 days.
If it's one.
Yeah, well, actually 1.5, because we have half in the
okay, we'll accept the 1.5, but the half as well.
Yeah.
Okay. But well done, James.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm actually like, what's the word? I had 1.5 and I was just like, that's enough. So come back home and I'm not feeling like anymore. It was enough. So
moderation.
I'm a lightweight now. Yeah.
I'm a lightweight now. Imagine if you
like
could get drunk off like half a glass now, James.
Yeah, I know, right? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a drink since your party, like except for when we were at our friend's house.
I wouldn't be surprised because you weren't too good.
No,
I was like completely get the charger, so I'll just be a little second. I thought my phone would last longer for this, but it's dying very quickly.
Oh no. It's just Jess from James and Jess's half hour.
Yeah. So so I understand why you haven't had one.
Yeah. Like even like last night, like I couldn't like with another thing with this, I couldn't drink or eat anything because like the top of your tube, like the esophagus is hurting because it's like contracting. And I felt like, and like last night I just couldn't stop coughing. So I woke up and my chest was hurting. But like, it's a weird process. And then I went to my friend who had COVID. I'm like, is this COVID? She's like, no, that's something else.
Shit.
Yeah. But hopefully it'll be a chill weekend.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Your favorite thing's out. Obviously, it doesn't have the Duke, but it's out. So will you give it a go, Bridgerton?
You know what's funny about this? I was checking all day just for sheer, because I was always like, I'm not going to watch it, but then there's nothing else to watch. Yeah. And then I was like, no, put it out of your mind.
If you want to see a psychological thriller, watch Behind Her Eyes. The one I was just
I
talking
thought you were going to say like watch Bridgerton, which is also true.
No.
But my mum, because my mum loved Bridgerton. She was a late bloomer to Bridgerton, but the entire day, I don't know how she knew that it was coming out today. I think a friend told her and she's like, is it out? Is it out? I'm like, Mum, you've asked me 5 times today.
It usually comes out in the evening, doesn't it? Like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually drops. Most stuff usually drops, I've noticed, on a Friday night about like 6-ish.
Okay.
I'll go bang, and there's the whole season.
Just tell
like,
Mum. Yeah. I want to watch Peaky Blinders season 6, and I've been trying. I've downloaded the VPN to get onto another country's Netflix or whatever. I still can't find it for me. So if anyone knows a way that Jess can watch it in Australia, she'll be deeply appreciated. All right. Appreciative.
Yeah. Nice. Good old Peaky Blinders. So the topic this week, we've been chatting a lot, obviously. So I'm going to start off with one. Obviously, I think our listeners would be like, of course, James is going to talk about this. And that's Born to Die.
I knew it.
Lana Del Rey. It was one of those songs that I didn't like upon first listening. I was just like, oh, this is really dark. And I saw it on YouTube and I saw the music video clip to it. And I was like, what the hell? She's like sitting with two tigers. This is pretty like epic. And then it's just like, you're kind of watching it and you're just like, wow, this is like very emo, but like dark and like it's poppy, but kind of R&B. Like it's got kind of a hip hop vibe with it, but it's not really going anywhere. And then I was like, oh, I don't know if I like it. But then I couldn't stop myself. I wanted to listen to it again though. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And I rewatched it and I was like, oh, it's actually really good. And then I rewatched it and I was like, oh, I really love this.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it was a grower. That's the one thing I would say. Like my first thing, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. And then it just kept growing. So that was like a song that I listened to, I think it was a year after. I think I first heard her in 2013, just after I finished uni. And I was just like, oh, who is this person? And then I started listening to her stuff, and it's funny because a reaction was much the same to that song. It was like, I'm not sure whether I like this. And you listen to it a couple of times and you're like, oh, actually, yeah.
It's genius. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And I just like the melancholy of it. I like the hip hopness of that, of that song, as well as the lyrics. The lyrics are really well written. Talking about something that's born to die is a very kind of interesting concept. It's deep.
Right to the point.
There's a lot of layers in her music. You don't quite know. It doesn't tell the story outright. It makes you ponder and think about it. It's like her lyricisms paint a picture, but it still has enough interpretation for you to fill in the spaces, if that kind of makes sense. It doesn't tell you explicitly what the story is. That's what I kind of liked about it. So how about you?
Oh, God. Well, if we're talking about Lana Del Rey, I remember the first time I was working at JB at the time, which to this day, I still say that was by far the best job I ever had. Like looking back, that was a fun time. But I used to be at the back shrinking DVDs. What that means is kind of like putting the plastic on the CDs and DVDs. So you have to open the boxes. So when the freight comes in, you take it off the trolley, and then you put it on the floor, stack it all up, and according to when everything is about to be released on the floor at JB. So I would open the box and I would put the plastic pocket on the DVDs and the CDs and put it in the shrinker. So this shrinker, it's like a melting machine that melts it onto the DVDs and CDs. And I remember the supervisor there was just like, there was two things she loved, Keanu Reeves. And I remember Keanu was all over her wall there, like at a desk. And she was just like, I cannot believe. And I remember I was on my own in the room and she was there. She's like, there's this new chick, Lana Del Rey. Oh my God. It just transports me to when I was a child. And this is like a 50-year-old or 40-year-old at the time. And I was like, all right, play her. So she stops the songs that are like being played at JB and she puts this newly released Born to Die CD on. I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh God, no. Like, but at that time I was obsessed with, I still am to this day, Michael Jackson and the upbeat melodies and all of that. I didn't grasp what Lana was doing. And then it became an everyday occurrence. She would just play this one bloody CD, Born to Die, over and over and over and over and over again. And then people kept buying her CDs and records. Yeah, CDs, records, nonstop. It was kind of like Susan Boyle. I remember when Susan Boyle became a huge phenomenon, that and then Lana Del Rey. And so I was like doing all the CDs, records, and it was just going off the shelves. And she just kept playing it and playing it. And then when I left JB and I looked back and I think I was working in a pizza shop, it came on the radio again. And I was like, and I think after that, I went through like a heartache. And then when I listened to the songs, I understood what she was saying. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually genius. This is actually genius. And then when she came out with the music videos, I was like, I'm done. This is like one of the greatest things that I've ever seen in my life. Like her music videos and how she portrays herself, her makeup, her hair, that vibe from like the 50s and 60s, the Priscilla Presley looking up to. And I was like, I get it now. And so I called my old boss that she was still there. And I was like, this Lana Del Rey chick is amazing. She goes, well, you didn't think that when you were working here? I'm like, yeah, I didn't understand. That was my first thing with Lana. And to this day, by far, it was a good transition from like growing up for 20 years listening to Michael Jackson to finally having something else I could relate to. And then that passed on to Lana.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I kind of feel like her music is a thing that it just kind of, I don't know, like with me, the same effect. I was just like, I don't know whether I like it. Like it was something different. Yeah. It wasn't like there was almost like, I'm not going to belt it. I'm not going to do a Mariah. I'm not going to do a Maya. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, and that's kind of, and she just had these little lows and dips and everywhere. And some people like, she's boring. Yeah. It's just like, I think it's just because she does have that melody, like she has the melody there, but she's not like, I would say she's not doing what people have done in music before, where she's doing like a more film style where it's reserved, it's pulled back, and it's almost like find the little delicate moments in the song of how I'm like, delivering the tone rather than the belt,
That's it.
Right.
And so and then when I started going for singing lessons, and I remember my music teacher and I like took a couple of her songs, like Young and Beautiful I had performed on stage, and Born to Die, and like video games, like her little the little things that she does. She goes, a lot of people in the olden days used to do that, and how she has pulled olden days to the present, and also this hip hop and this pop and like formed it. Like it was just unbelievable, like for us. And then when I found out that you liked her, I was just like, we're just going to get even better along, as we always do. But
yeah.
That, and I wanted to,
Do you want to talk about, I wanted to talk about another song that came up to me is Bohemian Rhapsody.
That was on my list.
Song,
what the hell? We're the same person.
That song to me is that like, I remember the same thing being like, this is so weird. I remember my dad showing me and him being like, it's Queen, and like, it's so good. It's like the best. And not understanding the nest. Like it was a song that the first time I heard it, I was like, that's
This
different.
is a mess.
Like,
yeah.
yeah. But then it's just like, it was a grower, you know what I mean? Like each time you hear it again and again, you can hear like so many different layers and the way they switch it up. And I'm just like, that's another thing that I wanted to quickly touch on is like that. What I love about Bohemian Rhapsody is how it switched it up. Like it's a song, it's encased within thing, but it's just like you're writing this
rock.
You're writing this
melody.
You're riding this wave and you don't know where you're going with it. And like, it's kind of like, that is what I kind of feel makes the song so great, is like the creative and like the creativeness and the freedom within the song of being able to do the opera and the switch.
Yeah. And it's so funny, like when you look back and you watch the movie, because my mum is my parents are both obsessed with Queen.
Yeah.
I always have that movie on. And when Mike Myers is like, oh, it's a bloody like the amount of crap that they had to go through to get that on air. And he's like, I'm not cutting it. It's from start to finish because it's a masterpiece. And he never revealed what the lyrics meant, like what the real lyrics meant. Because he's like, it's up to the interpreter, like the listener. But I remember this takes me back to when we were about to do our VC monologue for drama, for theatre studies. And we were blasting. I sat next to you, from what I remember. Or were you next to Siobhan? I can't remember. I know Siobhan was like, but me and you were screaming Bohemian Rhapsody. We're like, for me. And we were just screaming it on the bus. And Siobhan was like, shut up.
Yeah, I think I remember that. We got told to shut the fuck up.
But that was me and you.
That's like, such a good, that is such a good song. I love that song.
I wanted to quickly mention, like, it is a vibe.
Yeah.
Like, even like, oh God, everything's coming to mind. I'll say quickly, like, Freddie Mercury's Live Aid performance for Radio Gaga. I love playing that in peak hour traffic. I don't care if there's no traffic on the road, even like just driving on a highway, I would say, and you bump that baby up. I love it.
Yeah.
So good. And for me personally, and I'll say this to the day I leave this earth, is the one song that made like a major impact would be Will You Be There by Michael Jackson. Because I was obsessed with Free Willy. And when it went to the credits, it played that one song and I was like, this is amazing.
Will you be there?
Will you be
Michael?
There? Yeah.
Michael Jackson, there you go.
Yes.
I would say another one for me is In Excess, Never Tear Us Apart.
Yeah,
There's
like
something about that song and the little riff. Dun, 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 dun,
so simple.
It's
so simple.
And I know, and We Will Rock You as well. That those songs remind me of each other.
Like the Beatles songs. It's that simple, like Let It Be, Hey Jude. Yeah, it's just so simple. And it's kind of like how Michael Hutchins just, like my dad always said that no one else can sing that song because it's just perfect.
Yeah, I think it's very much, I feel these people were very much in their element and just expressing themselves so freely that they weren't thinking about what people would think or anything. It was a part of like, you know, they're a part of them and they were just releasing it. I feel like they knew it was great, but I think they knew like it was great, but I never think that an artist knows just how much it's going to become a thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, even with you, I think even with me, when you're in the creative process, you don't know what you're doing and you do it and you're just like, where the hell did that come from? Yeah.
I
can't believe if you like write one of those award-winning. But I think the whole thing is I'm not going to write the greatest song that was ever made. Okay, I have a pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to write the greatest song that nothing comes out. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have any more?
I did have a couple more. I've just forgotten a little bit because we went to the Beatles. I love Elvis Presley's like a lot of his songs. I've watched a lot of his movies lately, and I think like what's so
with the biopic coming out, it's kicked off everyone. Yeah.
I think like Unchained Melody has such a good.
Oh my God. When he takes that high note in his like grotesque state of he's about like 2 months before he died, he's still got that punch. And when he takes that note, what a king.
Yeah. And then also a lot of his gospel stuff. It's like quite amazing. He had such a yeah.
You should watch that bio. Remember I said like on the podcast I watched like a 2-thing Elvis Presley documentary?
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
I think you'd like that.
Yeah, definitely. So Elvis, obviously. Another one for me is Nina Simone. I watched the documentary. I've heard her stuff before that, but I didn't really know who she was and her story, and obviously what was getting her like so upset and so emotive, and how her music was very, political as well as, very personal as well. There's something about her just, belting out some of her songs,
simple.
And
again, simple.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh wow, yeah. Another one I would say Adele, Rolling in the Deep.
It's relevant.
I know there was something about that song, and it was just so simply done.
We could have had it all.
And I just remember,
perfect. Yeah, tell me.
And then also how she followed that up with a song, Someone Like You, like the significance of it, and just like how that album was pretty good. Another one, obviously Foo Fighters. I kind of feel there's something about him and Nirvana as well, and like the creativity coming through
Dave
and then just even with Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, just that song has, I know, it has this creativity to it, but it's,
what song did really well?
Sorry, yeah.
No, tell me.
No, you go.
No, it was Where Did You Sleep Last Night? Have you heard that? When Kurt Cobain sang that live, and I think again, it was just before he died. Should check it out.
Okay, I will. That sounds good. I'll check that out. He was very interesting as well. Another one, obviously, Amy Winehouse. Just she was. It's interesting how a lot of these people all had, I guess, a lot of them had addictions. Like a lot of these people are creative and also have addiction problems as well, and just often how like when you watch her perform, how she just looks like she's somewhere else.
Yeah, they're like on another level where it's not, they can't come back to reality or function in reality. True.
It's quite interesting. Almost like they just go into, I guess, like a different state, like you said, a different type of reality, like a different level, and they're kind of lost in it.
They are. I'm beginning to see Miley like go into that, getting into her groove. Sometimes when I see her now, when she's performing, she's like somewhere else.
Yeah. She's very good. So is her sister.
Yes. How good is she? And we were all like, what song? That Jesus song that they sang together.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Like it's the Johnny Cashes, it's the Janis Joplin. I remember the
Yes,
first time
Janis
I heard
Joplin.
that voice is kind of like when she hits like the first note of any song, you're just like, the fuck. I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah, Janis Joplin. Wow. Another one I wanted to mention was Leonard Cohen.
Oh, that's
Just because like he had a lot of like work as well where I was just like, wow, like, you know, obviously when people pass, you often look at like, you know, their body of work and like all the different songs. And he's like had quite a lot, which was very interesting to go back and like look through. Trying to think who else.
I have one, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like a personal one with me. It was the first time I saw J-Lo on the screen, and I don't think a lot of people know, but was a performer by the name of Selena Quintanilla Perez. She was a megastar back in the day in the 90s. And not a lot of people know her because she sadly was murdered when she was 23 by her. This is a girl that was just beautiful. She had all the talent in the world. She was going to be the next Gloria Estefan. She was becoming a megastar. And if you could just even search on YouTube, Selena Perez, see the talent that girl had. And you can see like when she's growing up, how she's dancing, the way she danced on the stage, the way she moved, the way she projected herself, just a real professional, such a young age. And then it was just tragically taken when she was becoming, so she was a Mexican singer. So she sang a lot of her songs, if not all, are in Spanish. And she was transitioning onto English because she couldn't launch herself on an English record. It just wasn't happening. So she had to own who she was. So as a Mexican performer and Mexican American, and then she became Selena. And then she was getting involved with makeup. She was a great fashion designer. And then her fashion designer boutique that she had in Texas was run by a person that will not be named because she sadly took that girl's life out of pure jealousy. And she died at 23. But I remember growing up, watching Selena in real life, like her performance on TV. She performed at the Houston Astrodome, I think it's called. And it was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen. Like that, the greatest things I'd ever seen was like Freddie Mercury Live Aid, when Michael Jackson did MTV 1995 and he wore a black suit with like red gloves, and this Selena performance. And she's just like, to this day, she's made it on like the Walk of Fame. What's that? The stars, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's just literally catapulted. Like her memory has not been lost, but if I could use this podcast to project her memory, she was an absolute star. She would have been a Beyonce of her time if she had more time to give, but sadly she was taken. But she was magnificent. So I highly recommend you watch her on YouTube and that's how Jennifer Lopez came up. So when Selena had passed, they wanted to do like a story about her life. And Jenny from the block, because she was living in the Bronx, applied and there were so many people going for this role, but she got it. And that's how she became. So, and then when you look at Jennifer Lopez and what she's made of her life, and you think like that girl would have been her age and the same personality, same moves kind of a thing, like she took the reins off that, Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's an emotional one because it's just beautiful, beautiful girl. She was winning all these awards. She was making it, transitioning, becoming even an actress. And it was just too soon.
Yeah. Horrible.
Do you have any more?
No, I think are we at time?
We're at 40 minutes, but all the other podcasts were like 23 minutes. And
okay. No, I think that was a very, very, very interesting story as well. So I'm happy to leave it there. Happy.
Yes. Good talk. I had fun.
Me too. Okay. Well,
Input,
thanks for
James.
listening, everyone. And thank you, Jess, as always.
Have
And
a-
we'll see you next week. Bye.